Well, the Shadow Minister for Indigenous Australians, Linda Burney, joins me now. Thanks for your time this afternoon. Look, this is not a voice to Parliament. They're calling it a voice to government, and it's not in the Constitution. It's going to be legislated, is the plan. Is this worth pursuing or not?
I was surprised to read the statement that it would be a voice to government, because of course what the Uluru what the Uluru Statement has always said, it should be a voice to the Parliament, and that was the understanding that Labor had as well. On the second point,
practically on that, what's the difference, do you think, between the two? Voice to Parliament, voice to government. Would it be confidential, I suppose, if it's voice to government?
I'm unclear on what it actually means because, as you said, David, it also talks about having regional and local voices, which we very much support. But the issue really, and where the two views don't meet, is that Labor believes in the Uluru Statement, and we believe that it should be an enshrined voice in the Constitution to the Parliament. And we are now clearly understanding that what the government is saying is a legislative voice not enshrined to the Constitution and talking to government. And I want to seek some very serious clarification on what that means and why the change.
Yeah, one of those points may be whether advice to government means what they recommend is public or whether it is treated as a confidential government document. Look, just coming back to the point though, clearly this is not what you wanted, but is it worth pursuing this or nothing at all right now?
What I've encouraged today, David, in my statements is that people, no matter what their point of view, should participate in the co-design process. That's really important. There will be some people that will say an enshrined voice or nothing, and there may be others that say, well, incremental change in terms of legislation is better than nothing. That is not the business of the Labor Party. What we have said constantly is that we embrace the three elements of the Uluru Statement, and don't forget there were three parts to that. One of them was enshrining the voice in the Constitution, and that we will be informed what First Nations say, both Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders, in relation to the co-design process and where they want to see the end being. I think the most crucial thing is that time is of the essence. We can't lose this. There has to be an outcome, and I urge the Prime Minister to listen to what First Nations people are saying.
Look, you're encouraging people to be part of this process, but do you agree, do you accept there's not a lot of detail right now about what a voice might do, how it might be constituted, what it might look like, that we really do need to go through this process to work out the detail?
I think the co-design process is critical, and I wanted to start immediately. What I'm slightly anxious about is that we know that Tom Calma and Marcia Layton, two very respected people, will lead the co-design process. But who are the other 18 people that are going to be on that very large council or committee that are going to oversee the co-design process? And what does local and regional voices mean, and how will they be constituted, and who will be responsible for that process? I think that's where the lack of clarity really lies with what the Minister has said last night.
Do you have any starting point here? Do you think any of these bodies should be elected?
Labor has some very definite principles that we've made public in relation to what the voice should look like. It should be enshrined in the Constitution. It has to be elected, otherwise it will not have any status within the community. It should have gender parity, and young people's voices should be heard, and it should have a regional basis. They are the principles on what Labor believes the voice must be. Now, I have said all along, and Labor has said all along, David, is that we will listen to what people say in the co-design process, and that will provide us with our final position.
Just finally, Linda Burney, do you accept that if we were to put the idea of a voice to Parliament enshrined in the Constitution to a referendum anytime in the next couple of years, do you really think it would get up?
I do think it would get up. I mean, I'm just slightly bemused that people think that the Constitution would outline what the model of the voice would be. The change to the Constitution would be a modest one, David, and that would be a line or two stating that there should be an advisory body to the Parliament, advisory body to the Parliament of First Nations people, and then it would be the legislation that would sort out what that advisory body would look like, how it would be constituted. And remember, I know that you need to move on, but remember that the Uluru Statement has always said it is the Parliament's responsibility to design the voice and give it its terms of reference. And that's an important point in this discussion.
Linda Burney, Shadow Minister for Indigenous Australians, thanks very much for joining me this afternoon.
Thank you, David.
I want to take you live now to Melbourne, where police are giving an update on